Welcome to the MarcWes Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the MarcWes Sports Podcast. I'm Marcus Benjamin. He's Wesley Pierre.
You already know.
We give you that real sports talk from that South Florida, Dade County, 954. I guess we could say 954 these days too.
7862
and 561 perspective. We give you that real talk, and unfortunately, this is one of the saddest weeks in Miami sports history, I could say, because our Miami Heat are down 3-0 to the Milwaukee Bucks right now. We're about to watch the Game 4 right now and really see if we can avoid the sweep. It saddens me just to say that. Well, just to come out and just hear that from my mouth just makes me really sad. But at the same time, this is a different Heat team, This is kind of what I realized. This is what I realized, and what probably many people realize as well, when they in a relationship with somebody, and it's all good, especially if you're having good sex. You kind of bypass the things that that are really things that you see, but you're like, nah, we could ride this thing out. And I think that was the kind of the case with this Heat team, and it's sad that we had to be down 3-0 and be blown out by 30 points in the last two games to really realize that. So I think this team is just a different team than last year's team. There's no Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder is a player that I think that we should have kept. We were both sad when we heard the news when he went to a different team.
Exactly.
So, and the fact that you let go of some pieces that and got some pieces that didn't work out. No Avery Bradley. You thought he was going to be somebody. No Oladipo. He's hurt again, so he seems like he's an injury-prone type of player. You have no Kelly Olynyk as well. Although, Kelly O sometimes was, he's inconsistent and he's a bench player, but he's a big guy and he can get rebounds. So you lose that, and you lose Miles Leonard, who was that guy too, who's basically a rebound, kind of stretch the floor type of guy. This is a different team, unfortunately. And not only that, I'll say this one last thing before you jump in, Wes, is that the bubble situation was a hard one to go through, and the fact that we got the most limited rest besides, us and the Lakers. And I also want to point out that Goran Dragic is not the same player. He's not the same player that we had before his injury in the finals. That player was the player that got us there, that helped to get us there, because he was pushing the pace, he was giving you good shots, and he was providing assists. So that player is not a player that we have now. We got a poor man's Ginobili right now. Straight up. We got a poor man's Ginobili. And I hate to say that about Dragic. He's one of the best all-time Heat players, I would say. But unfortunately, the injury seems like it took a toll on him. And he's not the same player, and he's, towards the end of his career.
See. That's where I agree and I disagree, because both, of course, both of us were loyal Heat fans, and, of course, we want to always see the Heat succeed. It's not like the Dolphins, we're used to seeing, failing outcomes, but when it comes to the Heat, we fight to the end. And, I'm looking at all these games, the last three games, the only game that they actually fought was game one, where Middleton, hit the game winner. And it was a lucky shot because, of course, he shot the ball in front of someone that I feel like is a liability on the Heat that I've been screaming for the longest. It was in front of Duncan Robinson, and you got to understand when it comes to the Heat, like I've been saying for the longest, our culture is defense. And piggybacking off what you were saying earlier, you got Jay Crowder. I agree 100%. Jay Crowder, we miss Jay Crowder on the Miami Heat because, of course, you know, you got a guy that can shoot the three consistently, give you that grit that UD provides, you know, Udonis Haslem, and you know, be one of those leaders, you know, in the game. You know, you've been screaming Tyler Hero for the longest, and Tyler Hero been where to be found? Nowhere.
Yeah,
you know,
none.
Duncan Robinson, same thing. You know, when it comes to Kendrick Nunn, same thing. When it comes to scoring, but he still give you the consistency when it comes to our culture, which is defense, you know. But again, at the end of the day, I'm not even gonna really blame it on those three because those three aren't the ones that's getting paid all the money. I'm gonna blame it on Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. And you remember, I said before they gave him that bread, I was like, yo, like I wouldn't have gave him that bread. Same thing like Julius Randle. You seen Julius Randle when he's playing with the Hawks right now. They just gave him that money, and he's inconsistent and been nowhere to be found. Just like our players, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and Kendrick Nunn, nowhere to be actually found. You got Bam Adebayo that's not shooting the ball consistently. Jimmy Butler in the season was saying, you know, I'm giving him slack on him not driving to the rim. You know, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Jimmy Butler that's not driving to the rim. Not, you know, he's giving the ball to everyone else. But how can you shoot the ball 76 times, 70 and some change, and make 26 shots? You know, of course we're gonna actually lose. We should have lost more than 30, to be honest with you, because the Bucks didn't even shoot well that third game. You know, the second game, of course, they broke records on the Miami Heat, you know, for first half 3-point shots made in the first half. But like game 3, like, yo, we could have easily won that game. You know, I really feel disappointed in Eric Spoelstra also because, you know, Bar Mitzvah, you know, he wind up showing up in game 3 and shooting it like Steph Curry, you know, close to the half court, you know, and consistently making that shot, consistently giving you that urgency that our other Heat players aren't giving you at that particular time. So, you know, I don't know, you know, it could be a little bit of coaching, it could be a little bit of leadership. You know, of course, we know that Jimmy Butler doesn't necessarily go out and try to take over the games like that. You know, he's going to spread it out and give it to his shooters. And our shooters are young players that are showing that when the lights hit them, and not in the bubble, you know, when the lights hit you with the fans there, you turn to a BITCH. You turn to somebody that just ran in the crib, and you got people in front of the crib that want to fight you. You wind up being one of these players. And of course, when you come to Dragic, I understand what you're saying about Dragic, but you got to give Dragic a little bit of leeway. Why? Because Dragic is an older player. We do know that he is the dragon until he give his last breath. And you got to understand, they put him in the starting lineup to help out the Heat, and it was not just Dragic. Everyone was inconsistent. I think Dragic shot the ball 14 times, made it 4 times. You know the Dragon.
Dragic and Duncan Robinson actually played really well in the first game. Didn't play well in the first game.
We're in game 4 right now.
Was Jimmy Butler. Like Jimmy Butler, like for some reason, besides the game tying shot that he hit, but to be honest, the Milwaukee Bucks really kind of figured out what the problem is with them. You know, because last year we knocked them out in 5 games. So they said, okay, so y'all going to knock us out in 5 games. We're going to add P.J. Tucker, and we're going to add Drew Holiday. And I think that's an upgrade from what they had last year, which they had George Hill and Bledsoe, which I think, they handled that. And then we downgraded. We downgraded because we thought we were going to get Oladipo, and he was going to be somebody. You thankfully got Dedmon because he's the one guy who can get rebounds for you. and he's actually been playing pretty decent in this series. But based on what I seen from the Heat, they definitely need an upgrade from next season. Jimmy Butler, to be honest, is the only real superstar in this team. Let's be honest.
Yep.
Bam is a good player, like you said, but he is not that player that is a superstar. He's one of those players that can give you great games, give you double-doubles. He's like a double-double machine. He'll give you rebounds, and may give you at least 10 points a game, which is a player that you need on your team. But he's not a superstar.
Exactly.
He's just not a superstar like Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Butler is giving you everything that he can give. And if he had another superstar on the team, because what I've been seeing in these playoffs, Wes, is that superstars reign supreme.
Kawhi.
But we got one superstar compared to all these other teams that got more than one. The only other team that's winning right now that has basically one superstar is Atlanta with Trae Young. Trae Young is pretty much the only superstar on that team, and he looks like they gonna go to the next round.
Is he a superstar?
I would say so.
I would say a superstar,
if you talk about point guards, you know. But going back to the Heat, right now, my whole problem with the Heat right now, and I agree with everything that you're saying. My whole problem is, it's like we have that fight is already gone. I'm not. I don't have no problem losing. I just have a problem losing the way we losing.
That's right. Cause tell me, because I didn't see most of the games. I mean, I saw highlights here and there. I've been watching the scores. Obviously, I've just been really busy at work, with spring football in the high school football scene down here in South Florida. But I want to ask you, Wes, just tell me what you saw, because I have yet to see a game from the beginning to the end, which is odd.
Well, to be honest with you, the Miami Heat start off slow. The problem with them is, rather than shooting the two, they be right under the rim and they kick it out to shoot a three, and they missing the threes. If I'm like, why are you doing that early? I mean, at the end of the day, I understand that we got Duncan Robinson. We got shooters on our team. Something that not Bam, but Whiteside was saying, I need some shooters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It seemed like we had some shooters, but these shooters wind up being big in the bubble. And for me, it is seeming like lightning in a bottle, because at the end of the day.
So you think we're a lightning in a bottle?
I'm not saying the Heat is lightning in the bottom. Those players, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, it seems like when the light done hits you and everybody's talking about you, you're not consistent no more.
Let me ask you, is it just that they're not making shots though? Because if they were making the shots, we'd be singing a different story, right?
Not even, because my whole thing is, remember my argument last time when we had the podcast was, I don't mind you being one of these elite scorers, but our culture is defense. And if you're always a liability on defense, if your offense is not dropping, if you're shooting the ball, because that's what they say about shooters. Shooters gonna keep shooting till they make it. But if you have no defense, then ultimately the day that your offense is off, which you're human, what are you giving me? You're giving me someone on the other team that's going to the free throw.
I feel you on that, especially with Tyler Hero. But I think Duncan Robinson has actually been playing a lot better on defense, to be honest. He does what he can, and I used to think that before the last, month or so. But I feel he is actually playing better defense than before, But Dragic is he doesn't really give you a lot on defense. Ariza doesn't give you a lot scoring the ball, And we need just more offense. We need some buckets to go down.
Goes Bam with a bucket.
We need offense and defense, and we need a better way of playing the actual game. And playing the game is being transition offense, transition defense, consistently going to the rim. When you got an open three, cool, make the three.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And right on cue, Ariza misses a three.
Exactly. So that is our problem with the Heat. We got to be aggressive right now. It looked like we were middle school, we're high school basketball players playing against college athletes, or college athletes playing against the NBA. We have not been looking consistent. We need to go ahead and show Brook Lopez, a guy that always gives the Heat a problem. And when we play him, when he was with Brooklyn, he gave us a problem. If it's not him, it was his twin brother. They always give us a problem.
Last season, we took care of Brook Lopez.
Again, because he fouled out of the game. I remember he fouled out of the game, but he consistently made shots. Look at that. Again, of course, you got someone that you're supposed to get the rebound, but you over here looking in outer space when you're supposed to be trying to get the rebound.
Let's tell the audience we're actually here watching the beginning of the game number 4.
Just like we said in the open, we're watching the Heat game 4 against the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll be watching this game throughout the podcast and just kind of commenting on what we see.
You know what I wanted to ask you guys? How much do you blame coaching? Because I've heard you guys talk about Jimmy, you talk about Bam, you talk about Tyler. How much do you guys blame? Because Eric Spoelstra, he gets the praise when we're doing good. But
I think coaching get 50%.
Right.
50% of the actual blame. Because like I said, you got bar mitzvah, someone that everyone felt like we were one of the, they called him the Godfather, the Don, because he done made that actual signing in the trading deadline. We got Oladipo and everything like that. Now we know Oladipo is injured, but again, I would be yelling at my players like, "Yo, what the hell are you doing?" Or, "Bam, I know I'm paying you this bread, but Bar Mitzvah would have been in the game because he's definitely giving me what I want from him." Bam is just looking around, looking like he's bewildered, like he's lost his dog, and he's trying to find something.
But Bar Mitzvah can't really defend either, though, and I think that's why he doesn't get minutes.
But he's giving you offense, and at the end of the day, I understand what you just said. But what we just said about Duncan Robinson, he's gonna give you offense, but he's not gonna give you defense.
No, he's gonna give you some defense.
He's gonna give you
I think
something.
Duncan Robinson is a better defender than Bar Mitzvah.
Of course, I understand that, but Duncan Robinson hasn't been showing like Tyler Hero. Bar Mitzvah, he looking like Steph Curry out here, man.
Yeah. I heard on the radio he was hitting it from like 30 feet.
So the Heat need to go ahead, and when we get the ball, we need to score. We need to get. You feel me? Look what you doing.
Come on, Bam.
Dumb shit. You feel me? Again, this is what the Heat is doing.
Like I said, Bam is not a real superstar. He's a great player.
Thank you, Ariza.
He deserves a start.
Ariza just shot a 3. The Heat is up 10-6. Finally we're up in the game.
Yeah, he deserves
and we're not trying to come back.
He deserves a start, but Bam just doesn't have that bully ball mentality in him.
Because he's acting like a bitch. It's the crowd. It's everything.
It can't be the crowd, man. If you got somebody cheering behind you on anything in life,
it's the pressure.
Isn't that a better thing? And then like something that that is trying to defeat you, they're like, nah, we gon', we're not about that. So speaking of that kind of transitions to our next topic, which is basically fans, man. Because I know we're all fans here.
Loyalty.
Because we're sports fans, we're doing a sports podcast. Obviously, we're a fan of sports, and you already see the teams that we're rolling with is home team all day here in Dade County.
No, we only missing the Panthers.
And shout out to the Panthers. They had a great season, and
unfortunately, it came to an end.
Unfortunately, it did come to an end. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But I just want to talk about being a fan because I know we all sports fans here. Myself, Wes, Chris on the production side. And when we go to a game, there's some obscenities that are heard all the time. And lately, fans have been getting in the news because you seen the one dude that threw popcorn on Westbrook. Man, that was crazy, man. Like, Westbrook, we already said in previous podcasts, he's one of our favorite players of all time. Hurt his ankle in the playoff game against the Philadelphia 76ers. And while he's walking off the court, a fan has the audacity to throw some popcorn on the man.
In the tunnel.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he said in the press conference afterwards, like, yo, if he did, he would never do that to me if I was just right here in the streets. It's unfair for fans to really kind of think they have authority to throw things or spit on people. There was actually a fan that spit on Trae Young.
Trash.
One of the best players the best player for the Atlanta Hawks while he was inbounding the ball right in front of 50 Cent. It was crazy. Like, why? Like, come on, man. Like, stuff like that is uncalled for. If you're a fan and you do that, you need to be, 6 feet under a jail, because that is just, these are people too. These are not video game characters or whatnot. These are real people. And these people, if they saw you in the streets and you did something like that, you wouldn't be happy with the results, because they're probably going to beat you down or curse you out or have you arrested. Yeah. One of the three. So fans these days have been saying F you. Boston fans last night were saying F you to Kyrie. And even John Morant, playing against Utah, was getting like some backlash from his family. Like, they was coming after his family on social media. Like, I think fans, they really go
computer gangsters,
crazy when it comes to their teams. And I understand it, and I feel that, and I'm one of them. I hear you. But at the same time, you got to realize these are people, and they got families, and they're working hard to try to do the best that they can. Of course, they can handle talk. Because, I actually heard Meta World Peace on the on a podcast, on either it was a podcast or
you talking about
on the
guy
radio.
That whooped the fans for doing some green shit like that? Yeah,
Meta World Peace, a.k.a. Ron Artest, ran up into the stands and confronted a fan. Mm-hmm. And they, it's the big old brawl, the Malice in the Palace. If you ain't seen it and you young, you never seen that,
you need to go
just
watch
Google that on YouTube. You'll see the whole thing. Jermaine O'Neal was fighting in
Steven
that too.
Jackson.
Steven Jackson fighting fans. It's crazy. But that's when things go wrong, because, you don't want a situation like that where you got an athlete who's obviously going to beat you down if you're not an athlete for the most part, coming to the stands and put his hands on you, So you don't want a situation like that to happen. So I think fans definitely take it way too far, and they need to be arrested and banned and suspended and all of that.
Going back to what Westbrook said, if we was on the streets, you definitely wouldn't be doing that. And that's just being real, Same thing with me saying, when you was actually saying everything, like, you got computer gangsters. They feel like they can say whatever they want. We're never going to see each other, this, that, and the other. But, again, at the end of the day, you should be able to say what you want. For real. You should be able to say what you want. But, again, you should be ready and willing for that reaction. Yeah. Whichever way it goes, positive or negative. Most likely it's going to go negative. But if you throw popcorn at me, don't be surprised if you would have had that Ron Artest part 2.
Right.
You see how they was holding him in the tunnel, and of course they said that they, removed the fan, and they took his season tickets away for indefinitely, I guess, for life or whatever like that. But again, it goes back to what Westbrook was saying. Like, you ain't gonna do that if it was just me and you. Ain't no cameras. Because you probably would do that if you had someone recording, because, I'm worth millions and millions of dollars, and there's gonna be a lawsuit coming sometime soon. You got your ass whooped, but you got some bread off me too. So I lose again. Because I had to give you that money. But if there's no cameras, it's just me and you. I don't think a lot of these fans would be saying or doing the shit that they actually do, saying these racist things, calling people monkeys, all type of different things. So
all right, I gotta ask y'all as fans. We've been to basketball games, we've been to football games, we watched the Heat play the Dolphins, the Marlins, the Panthers, what have you. What's the worst thing that you've screamed out as a fan? I don't care if you were in row 300 or you were in row 1. What's the worst thing you've like screamed out or like anything disrespectfully to another team?
Well, me, I probably said that you was trash or or you suck. But if I'm talking to my
Garbage
homeboy,
ass.
that's you
Sorry
garbage,
ass.
You
suck.
You
Suck,
feel me,
LeBron.
You feel me? But again, suck LeBron.
That's a classic.
Or LeBrick, or anything like that. But if I'm at the game with you or Marcus, I'm probably gonna be like, this bitch ass in. You feel me? This in garbage is F. You feel me? Anything like that. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna you a garbage ass in. You a bitch ass in. You feel me? Like
right.
Every time you when it comes to the moment, you turn to a bitch.
What
Right,
about
right.
chants?
That's kind of the farthest I would go.
Like a
but
good
I
chant.
won't say it to
But
the
like
players.
now-
It's a good chant.
Nowadays, though, like I would be like probably inclined to be like, oh, tight ass shorts you got on, just to kind of get in their head. Because if somebody say that to me, I'm gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
What you
Start looking at your
said?
shorts.
That's kind of get off my game since I'm older now, and I wouldn't,
What's a good chant? I know
spit out
Marcus, you said you were
obscenities like I used to. in my
You were part of a
youth.
good chant, right? You were part of a
Yeah,
good chant.
yeah, bro. Like we, Brian was with me, Chris brother. We was at this Dolphins game. They were playing the Cardinals. This was the year that they had AJ Feely and Jay Fiedler, right?
My God.
So I believe the situation was where Jay Fiedler started, right, and then they changed to AJ Feely. And AJ Feely started being garbage, And then at the time, bro, Arizona and us were the worst teams in the league. I remember that much. We were 2 worst teams in the league. And I was just like, damn. I was like, you know what, man? I couldn't take it anymore, man. So I started a chant for the head coach, who at the time was Dave Wanstead. So I was like, fire Wanstead. Fire Wanstead. Next thing you know, the whole section was doing it, and then the whole fucking half of the stadium was doing fire Wanstead. I was like, yo, we just started a chant. The next day, that dude got fired, bro. The next day, he got fired.
Damn.
So to this day, I feel like, okay,
It was your fault.
we fired Ronstadt, man. We fired Dave Wanstead. That was those days he was running Ricky Williams into the ground, running him 30 times a game. So he had to smoke weed to really reflect on life, because he was taking too many blows into the head, and they were not having those concussion type of protocols in those days, by the way. So yeah, I would say that's probably like the worst chant or thing that I said at a game that actually resulted into something. But yeah, I don't really go too far with these players, calling them a bitch or talking about their moms or anything like that, or they lady.
You deserve that pressure that's coming to you.
Nah, because if somebody did that to me, then I want to fight them. So I wouldn't say anything to me if I was in that situation where wouldn't feel like I wanted to fight somebody.
Yeah. I think the older you get, the more you kind of just calm down. Because when I was younger, you would say a little bit more disrespectful, and as you grow up, you're like, oh, there's kids around, and
I hear you, but you sometimes in the moment, man, I'd be like, man, I ain't worried about the fucking kids being here, because I ain't gonna lie to you. One time I'm gonna be real.
Dedman with that
Dedman with the putback.
That's what I'm
but
trying to say, he's been the one that's really playing.
I went to a Future concert, right? It was Future and Drake. You feel me? I think summer 16 tour, something like that.
Summer 16. That's when I met my wife. I always remember that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. So I wind up, going to the game. It was me and my wife, and we had a kid in front of us with his dad. Caucasian kid with his dad, and guess what happened? Everybody in there was smoking trees. Everybody was smoking trees, right? And I couldn't believe it because I'm like, yo, like if you was a parent that took your kid to this concert, how would you be feeling? Like everybody around you, be in front of you, next to you, behind you, smoking trees. They do not give a F about your kid. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel.
Concerts are different though.
Huh?
Like, concerts are different. Like if you go to enough concerts, you realize like there's a lot of people who vibe out. They smoking weed, so you might. This
was at the AAA. The hell you talking about? It's inside of the AAA. What the hell you talking about?
Shit.
What? You know, like you would think that. Hell no. We at Heat Stadium. They're definitely not allowing no smoking in here. No, it was fogged down.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
The same thing for me. I went to a concert at Juicy J and Wiz Khalifa concert at the Miami Hurricanes.
Wiz Khalifa, Juicy J.
Yeah, and at the Miami Hurricanes
Okay.
basketball stadium.
Oh, me
That's
too.
basketball
Mine's
arena.
a Kodak Black.
Yeah,
They
and
burning it down.
They was burning it down in there.
Of course.
And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, concerts even when they're inside, like people are gonna be smoking.
So ultimately, when it comes down to it, and I paid my money for the fan, hey, it is what it is. Yo, I know that your kid, me cursing right now is the first time, not the first and the last time that they're gonna hear somebody cursing. I paid my money to exert this energy. So right now, you see why the Heat is winning right now. If I was actually at the stadium, I would have been going crazy, not giving an F about who the hell is around me because I paid this damn money. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely, but you know what atmosphere been really good lately
that?
is the New York Knicks atmosphere.
Ah,
You know,
the Knicks
like
about
I'm not
this.
gonna lie because I'm not a Knicks fan at all. I'm a Heat fan. Obviously, you see the hat. You see the pennant up there that's holding on. You know what I'm saying? So you already know what it is. When they was beefing with the Heat in the '90s, I hated the Knicks with a passion.
I still do.
Like Allen Houston and Latrell Sprewell and Charlie Ward when P.J. Brown flipped him over and Alonzo Mourning fighting with who was he fighting with? I think it was Larry Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's fighting with Larry. Yeah, with Mourning on his leg. So you already know I hate the Knicks, and I'm not a really big fan of New York. Although I used to live there when I was young. Although I was still born in the
Came
crib.
to the real side.
I was born in the crib, so I just want to let y'all, people gonna be like, oh, this guy's not even born in the crib. But I was born in the crib.
Exactly.
North Shore Hospital, just so you know, right there on 95th, right by Central.
Okay.
And then moved to New York, and then I came back.
Because he knew what it was.
Parents, whatever, they just be moving and shit. You already know how it go. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of New York or the Knicks, really. I am a fan of the Giants. I did say that before just because that was the first football team I remember as a kid rooting for. So I root for the Giants. And the fact that they stopped the Patriots to eclipse the Miami Dolphins winning streak just made me love them even more.
Of course.
So yeah, I'm just not a fan of the Knicks. But that atmosphere was crazy. Even the Heat atmosphere is nice too, because I'm just like, when I listen to the radio for the Heat game on my way from spring high school football game, I was like, yo, the crowd is juiced up right now because they were counting down Giannis, because Giannis is infamous for taking too long for the free throws. After 10 seconds, you have to call a violation. He takes way more than that, and for some reason, the refs don't call it. So the Heat fan, true, started counting down. The whole crowd at the AAA started counting down 1, 2, 3. Once they get to 10, they're like, yo, why you not calling the foul? So, we always get a lot of hate for the Heat fan or for the Miami fan. So I just want to say, we are still in it with our team, and we was down by 30 at the time.
Let me ask you.
We up by 8 right now. First quarter, 3:17 left.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, hero, man. Make the shot. Thank you.
There we go. Let me ask you guys we're talking about fans. We talked about the Knicks. Now, I was reading that the New York Knicks if they make it to the second round, they're going to impose a vaccine requirement for fans to attend. So you could only attend the game if you got the vaccine. So I kind of want to ask y'all, what do y'all think about that? Is that a good thing? Is it discriminatory against people who don't have
it's
the
discriminatory.
Of course.
Hell yeah, it's discriminatory. You are well within your right to not take a vaccine if you don't feel like that is the right thing for you. There's been already complications with plenty of people who took the vaccines, and if you are in your God-given right to decline the vaccine at any point, and because of that, you're going to be denied going to see your favorite team. I think it's terrible. I don't think they're making it to the second round anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because apparently this will be imposed in the second round. But yeah, I think it's a garbage rule and it's un-American.
Yeah, definitely. So that's just a start. And then they're gonna be like, oh, if you're not white or black, it's gonna go back in the G. Or if you don't have this religion, then you can't go to the game. Or if you don't have this computer chip in you, the sign of the beast, then you can't go ahead and shop over here or go ahead and go to this game. So again, of course, it's always got to be the garbage ass Knicks that come up with these stupid ass rules. It's the same owner that nobody likes, Charles Oakley to the Latrell Sprewells. None of them like the owner. Patrick Ewing,
James Dolan.
Exactly. All these former Knicks do not like the owner. They may not say it publicly, but they do not like the Knicks. And ultimately for me, I look at that as a slap in the face as being American, because at the end of the day, then what's the point of HIPAA laws? What's the point of HIPAA laws? Because HIPAA laws, I don't need to tell you my medical history, and COVID vaccine is medical, right? So I could go ahead and say I took the vaccine and I ain't take shit. Who are you? So I got to give you my medical history to say I took the shot.
That's a great point.
And you might as well just go ahead and dissolve HIPAA laws if you're going to go ahead and have this, because at the end of the day, how can you prove I didn't take the vaccine? What, you're going to go ahead and take the temperature, or you're going to take the COVID test? I could be someone that didn't have COVID and I'm cleared again when you took the COVID test on me before I went to the second round, which I don't think that you're going to go ahead and do. But that's another story. Still, regardless of the fact, it always takes stupid people in this world in a leadership role, that probably got money inherited or anything like that feel like they can go ahead and impose laws or impose their will on the general public. And it's going to take me, it's going to take you, it's going to take other woke Americans that's not going to go ahead and allow this. But regardless of the fact, we don't need to worry about it, because the garbage ass Knicks is not making it past the second round against the Atlanta Hawks. So
and I just want to comment on the Knicks and just really poo-poo on them, because people from New York, there's a lot of Knicks fans, and they annoying just like Jet fans. Think that their team is really good, and they've really been garbage for the past 30 years. And the Knicks are a team that was not in the bubble last season. So they haven't been playing for 9 months until the season started? The season started in December. They stopped their season this time last season. So they had all that time to rest. And you got Julius Randle, who is the most improved player. You better be most improved. You had all that time to rest. Come on, man. Speaking of teams with no superstars, that's another team without a superstar. And that's why I feel like they're not going to move on to the next round, because Trae Young is a superstar and Julius Randle is not a superstar. He's a good player, He's on the level. Maybe he's just under Bam Adebayo, but he is not a team that's going to advance that team to the next round.
That's not giving Bam good looks. You feel me? Because Julius Randle, you can say this, that, and the other, but I know what I see. What I see with him, I see someone that actually is not that great, that got paid a lot of money during the bubble. because you wind up looking a little better than average. Same thing like Kelly Olynyk. Same thing like Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is looking like Julius Randle. Julius Randle hasn't been showing up in the playoffs. It's been Derrick Rose that's been actually, holding that team up, even though I don't like the Knicks and I don't like Derrick Rose because he came from Chicago, so I still don't like him. But regardless of the fact, I'm looking at the big picture when you come to the Miami Heat, whereas we paid Bam Adebayo all this money, and he's not being aggressive, something that Jimmy Butler went ahead and gave him fits about during the regular season.
Dragic's been saying that too. He said the same thing this week. He was like, Bam needs to be more aggressive.
Exactly, and
you got the two leaders on the team that's saying that, but Bam is not producing.
Exactly. So in regards to Bam Adebayo, he's the one that really needs to step his game up, because everybody know what you're getting from Jimmy Butler. He's gonna make everybody else better, because we were nobodies before Jimmy came. Bam was on the team, and Bam was not uplifting the Heat like the best player. You see how he just got the ball and he wind up passing it back. Like, what is wrong with you? You had it in transition and you stopped.
Or trying to make a move in the paint.
I don't know, what are you doing? Like, draw the foul, do something. And you don't even, like, are you scared of your fellow African Giannis? Like, what are you doing? Giannis is going to the free throw line. Look what he's doing right now. He's being more aggressive. He's being more aggressive, and that league is dwindling right now. It's the first quarter,
and that was a bad shot.
Bad shot. Look at that garbage. This is what the Miami Heat is doing right now. In the first quarter, you had on Iguodala shot a reckless three.
26-22, Miami Heat is
still
leading
winning.
after
it feels good
quarter.
right now to do the podcast while we're winning, because I guarantee you, if we was doing this podcast and we were looking how we were looking before, you probably would have had a different podcast, because it's loyalty over here, and
all
you see
day.
the Miami Heat is right in the middle. Now, it's just for me, it just sucks to see the Miami Heat in this situation, fighting for their lives, and if we win one game, cool, but I want to win. I wanted to go Game 7. I wanted to go Game 7, and if we go Game 7, and it's
it
the
don't
loyalty
matter,
in me. It don't matter now. You got a championship hat, and you over here being. You can't
matter.
get that negative energy over here, and they're like, "What's going on over here?"
Yeah, I mean, if they make it to Game 6, I'll be happy. They don't need to make it Game 7, because it'll be better than what we did to you last year. Because last year we took them out in 5 games.
See, but you over here thinking we're going to lose. I'm still over here thinking we're going to win. Look, like, come on, man. You got the championship hat. You over here like Game
That's
6.
why I got to wear it, just in case people just, get it confused on what's coming out my mouth.
Got to go Game 7. Got to go Game 7, man.
Shit.
Like me, of course, like I said.
If it goes Game 7, I think we have a chance to win.
Of course,
but I don't think it's going to Game 7. But we'll see. I hope so.
Say that we're gonna win this game.
I hope Westradamus is right, man. I hope this is one of those moments.
I see us in the second round, though.
Let's let me talk about, like, all right, we're watching this on TNT, right? So the last game that I watched, FanDuel, right? So gambling has been legalized in America for a few years now, right?
Okay,
but it hasn't really been in some states.
In some states, I think it's been okay, but. Now it's like it's all over the place. Like they were even talking about it on Inside the NBA. Like Charles Barkley was giving like the over under and the line. Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about. I know Marcus knows more about this than we do. So I want to know like your opinion on like what's going on. Did you ever think you would see this day?
Absolutely not. I mean, the first real bet that I put on big money on where the spread was involved was actually the Super Bowl with Carolina and the Patriots.
Okay.
But I went with the Patriots and I won on the spread because it was 3.5, and he just won because I believe they won by 3. The Patriots did. So I went with Carolina to win, to cover the spread. So yeah, back in those days, there's no way in hell I thought that we would see spreads all the time. Like when I pull up on my phone on ESPN, I see the game score and I see the spread on there. That's something I would never see 10 years ago. I think gambling is something that will continue to grow because obviously it makes money. Mm-hmm. It's something that people like doing, whether they have it or not, which is unresponsible gambling if you're doing it when you don't have it. to bet like that. But if you have it, it is what it is. If that's what you need to get a thrill with a game, I know a lot of people who will not watch a game that doesn't involve their team unless they're betting on it. Most of the time, you will bet with a spread, and a spread is basically like in this game. I actually don't know what the spread is on this game, but let's just say it's Milwaukee has to win by 3 points. That will be totally broadcast on every website you pull up now. And I never thought we'd be in a situation like that. There are actual shows, like sports shows, that are particularly about gambling and what you should bet on. There's a radio show that I listen to called Straight Outta Vegas.
Okay.
Where obviously it's been legal in Vegas for forever. But, Straight Outta Vegas, they particularly talk about all kinds of bets that you can make. And they go into it in depth. There was one point in my life where I thought, like, you know what, maybe I should just move to Vegas and just be one of these stats guys. Yeah, because they make good bread, and just be one of these stats guys who people will pay to consult with to make bets. So it's definitely big business. I know the NFL is going to continue to move forward with it. FanDuel is a fantasy football sports site that kind of I got a FanDuel account. I'm not going to lie to you. But I haven't been on FanDuel for a while. But you can just put in like $1 bet. You can bet on a quarter. You can bet on the entire season as far as how many wins you think a team will get. You can bet if a team's going to win a championship, and those are low money. Say you bet the Heat are going to win a championship. Let's just say it's plus 10,000. Meaning if you bet $100, you get 100 times 10,000. Like something like that, for example. Obviously the odds are really bad for a team like that right now, but if that somehow happened, that's how much money you would make, hypothetically. So that's why it's big business, because people be like, okay, yeah, I'll just throw $10 on it, see what happens, or I just throw $20, see what happens, because the end result could be big, for you. And for people who are like, fuck it, I could just lose $10. It's nothing to me. And I get to watch a game with more motivation behind it, rather than just watching a game, just like seeing who wins. So gambling, yeah, definitely is something that I'm kind of shocked that it's blown up to the level that it has. But at the same time, I'm not, because money rules all. Money and greed rules everything when it comes to business.
I agree. I mean, I didn't ever think that they would have made gambling legal, of course, because look what baseball has been doing to Pete Rose for the longest. Someone that they feel like been gambling on his own games that he was actually playing. But I guess they feel like he probably was losing games, on purpose, or I'm not sure, and he was rigging certain games, and it's crazy how right now I look at how what you're saying, it's everywhere. They're gonna put the score on the actual Bleacher Report, any of these platforms, and they're gonna actually have the point spread as well. So certain people like Pete Rose, I feel like should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
In regards to the NFL, the NBA, any other sport, I feel like now you can go ahead and say that they can be the new Pete Roses of the NFL now, of the NBA now. It's just like this movie that I seen a long time ago. I don't know if y'all seen this, Blue Chip. You had Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah, you had Shaq in there and everything like that. And you had the head coach. You wind up seeing one of his players. I think even Penny Hardaway was even in that game also. I'm not sure in that movie. Yeah. But
Nick Nolte.
It shows how if someone actually get kind of like into that as a player, how the money can be bigger than the actual game, so I look at the situation and I'm like, yeah, I don't mind, You know, I don't mind them actually gambling, but if you know they have the dark side of whatever, you know, like they have the dark side of the ring with the WWE, you know, when it comes to the dark side of the sport, NFL, NHL, you know, any of these actual sports, you know, can any of these players get compromised and actually wind up, you know, losing games on purpose or missing shots on purpose? This is something that I'm feeling about the Miami Heat right now. You know, the last few games, like they're not giving no effort. You know, going back to that movie I was saying, the Blue Chip. You know, like how he noticed one of his players, you know, actually wasn't doing what he was supposed to doing. And you wouldn't notice it during the game because it's so fast.
Yeah.
But when you look at the replays and certain things like that, you see how, you know, your player gave up certain things. And, you know, of course he confronted his actual player, and his player confirmed that he actually, you know, did give up.
You ever seen Two for the Money?
I
Two for
probably
the
did.
Money is another good movie when it comes to sports gambling. It's with Al Pacino and Matthew McConaughey.
I think I did.
That's the one. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. But like as far as sports gambling, you really kind of feel like what it's like, because basically what he is he gives advice to people on what games to bet on. And some of these people, they're betting their whole life, they're betting their rent and all like that, and then they come after him. It's a pretty decent movie, man. Matthew McConaughey is actually pretty decent, and of course Al Pacino, you already know what kind of quality you get in there. But
Of course.
yeah, so that's another
Equal
movie
dollar
when
with
it
a
comes
3.
to gambling that really gives you the insight of what gambling is really like. Gambling is very dangerous, I do want to say, you know, for people who don't have it under control. So
Jordan.
you know, so you know, just don't bet what you don't got. If you are okay with throwing a $20, whatever money bracket you in, if $100 is like $20 to you, then bet $100. If $500 is like $20 to you, then bet that money. You know, it's really about
That's
you know,
kind of what I be
being
doing
responsible
when I
about
go
it.
to the casino with wifey. You know, like, you know, I leave with a certain amount of money, and if I lose this, I don't mind me losing it. You feel me? Because this is what I was playing with. Of course, I want to go ahead and go to the casino and win, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing anyways. That's why I'm on the slot machines, just pressing buttons and hoping that I win. You know, but other than that, you know, my wife, she tends to always win. I tend to always lose, but again, that's the positive of being married to somebody. She gives me half. You know, regardless of the fact that I do vice versa. But I normally lose, so I have no chance to actually give half. But again,
What do you play?
I play the slot machines.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I don't know what the hell I'm pressing. I just press any button. You know, and if I win, I win. You know, I don't know if she grasped it better than me, but still, regardless of the fact, going back to what Chris was saying, I'm gonna go ahead and what you were saying.
I would play blackjack. That's the only thing I would play, because I feel like I have some kind of strategy involved.
See, I don't
you know, I play blackjack.
I'm not a gambler. You feel me? Every time I gamble, I lose. But when I give people advice, they win. So that's why they call me Westradamus, because I normally lose when I bet personally. But when I give anyone else advice, they normally win. But regardless of the fact, you know, that's what, going back to what you were saying and what Chris was saying, you know, bet what you have. You know, if it's $10, if it's $50, if it's $100 or even $500, bet what you can go ahead and lose no sleep if you actually lose. So.
Right, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about the Panthers.
Like I said in the
Misery.
opening of this podcast, that it's one of the saddest weeks in South Florida sports history, because the Panthers did get eliminated, although they had a great season. And I do want to say that they had one of the seasons that they haven't had in the past, where they're always kind of sneaking in or backing door into the playoffs.
See, but piggybacking off what you saying, I feel like it was a fucking fluke, or that's why they hate Florida, Miami, period. Because how we wind up having a number 1 or number 2 record in the NHL, and we play the actual defending champs, and they have a great record also. Like, if we're gonna play them, it would have probably been in the championship or the division to get to the championship. But how are we playing them first? That's how you know they hate our weather. They hate our beaches. They hate our women because it makes no sense for us.
Tampa is like kind of the same though.
It's kind of the same. See, but still, regardless
Well,
of that,
not the
how
same,
we
though.
play each other.
Tampa's definitely not like Miami. I didn't mean that.
How do we play each other? It doesn't make any sense. We're
It's
number
close.
1 or number 2 in the league with our record, and we play that caliber of a team. It doesn't even make any sense, you know. And then I heard on the radio, they're like, oh, because of COVID, they changed the normal brackets and they made it this way. Another unfair thing that would happen to our weather, our beaches, our fans. You feel what I'm saying? So it is what it is. It was a disappointment. You know, I seen one of the games and I'm like, is it my fault that they losing? Because I normally don't even watch them play and they win. And then when I finally watch them, they're losing, you know? So
Yeah.
I changed the channel and they scored a point, you know?
Yeah, they
So-
were just up against a really good team, and you know their goaltending was awful with the first 2 guys that they used. But fortunately, they also have a rookie in Spencer Knight, who is basically a 20-year-old who stepped in as a goaltender and got you another win. Now, I think he was better than the other goaltenders, so it seems like you have a player in the future. So, like, he's one of those players who is young, and stepped up in a big game playoff situation, similar to like a Dwayne Wade or similar to like a Miguel Cabrera. So I think he has potential to be one of those greats based on how he started, because he's the first goaltender in history to do what he did since Martin Brodeur, who is a Hall of Fame goaltender. He's one of the best goaltenders to ever play. So I think the future is bright, and this season was different. Like, I know y'all don't really watch hockey like that, but this season was different from other seasons where we had one of the best regular seasons, and I think they're on the right track. You know, now I feel like I could believe in this team. Like, I feel like those hockey playoff games finally had some energy behind them, because when I was watching hockey playoff seasons in the past, there was no energy in that building. They were acting like, oh, they were just chilling somewhere on a Saturday night, you know, type of thing. Like, oh, there's a hockey game. Oh, the Panthers in the playoffs?
Like a
All
picnic.
right, let's take the family.
Yeah, it's a
you know,
big
but
picnic.
this time they was like, oh, we were actually really good. Let's cheer for these guys. We might have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. So I think the future is bright for them, and it's just disappointing that they went out in the manner that they did.
But I'm hearing what you're saying about the goalie. You know, that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing because we done paid, you know, the
other goalie that
all this money for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I
she signed
know.
to that contract, and you know the person that you're praising right now on our show is a rookie. You
Right.
know, someone now just playing at Boston College last year.
Right.
You know, so you know that's a dilemma for us because, you know, I don't know hockey too much, but I do know hockey. Like, you have to have one solid goalie.
Yeah.
It can't be, you know, one game is this goalie.
Yeah.
One game is that goalie. It's the same like the Miami Dolphins. That's why they got rid of Fitzpatrick because, you know, we got Tua over here and he's supposed to be the next coming, and he's gonna be uneasy if we have someone like you of your caliber,
Right.
that you know right behind his shoulder. So you
Right.
know, again, it was a good thing that we wind up making the playoffs. Unfortunately, you know, they snubbed us again and made us play the defending champions, you know, because of COVID and this bracket.
Right, exactly.
But still, regardless of the fact, you know, I do see me going to a hockey game, you know, in the near future, you know.
But yeah, you talked about Tua, so that's a perfect transition to Tua. As far as, like, I feel what you're saying. Like, when you don't have one quarterback, you really have none, and that's really the same thing with hockey. Like, if you don't have one goalie, then you really have none. So yeah, I really think the Panthers are do well, and I do think the Dolphins will do well, as well. And this week, Tua was in the news because he came out and he said that he didn't really know the playbook much last season.
Not a surprise.
But which really kind of adds to your point, because we didn't really have one quarterback because we were back and forth with Fitzpatrick. So how much you're kind of hindering his progress as a quarterback in real life game experience if you're not just playing him for full games so he can really kind of figure it out. Mm-hmm. But he's going to get scrutiny for that. I will. He already has, as far as not knowing the playbook fully. But I think the future is still bright for the Dolphins with Tua because he says his hip is finally healed. He said that as well. So he was not 100% apparently last season. So you got that factor as far as his physicality. And then his knowledge. Although he admitted that to us, it does make me feel some kind of way. At the same time, the only place to go is up from this point. Like, if you didn't know the playbook last year, that means you have no excuses this year.
Well, it don't matter now because, of course, Brian Flores fired the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator. So, whatever he learned last year is out anyway. So he wound up retiring as a offensive coordinator, but like in Chan Gailey. But again, I don't really mind, the situation that Tua's put in. Again, he was not 100%, but he was able to learn certain things. Because of course you can be in the film room, discussing this, that, and the other, the A's and X's, or the X's and O's. But if you're not in the game, getting hit actually, because you could be in the game, but you never get hit. And once you get hit, you finally like, oh my God. But he got hit multiple times, and he got right back up. He didn't grasp the actual playbook as well. But I like someone like that. That's gonna be able to keep it 1K with you. You're gonna ask me a question and I'm not giving you PC. I know I'm gonna get some slack off this, but it's the truth. I didn't know the playbook like that. That's why they always pulled me out. It was not because I'm not a good quarterback. It's because I didn't really know how to get out of certain situations like that. Because if I knew the playbook, I would be able to go ahead and, switch the play or be able to see what is coming, defensive scheme plan standpoint. So, again, like you're saying, there's no other way to go than up. You got Waddle over here. You got a plethora of receivers. You got Fuller. You got Devontae Parker, who was not healthy at the end of the season, but he wind up still, having reasonable numbers. Again, remember, we're not paying him, Julio Jones numbers in regards to salary. We're paying him a reasonable salary. So my expectations for him is not high. If he do his thing, cool. Preston Williams, same thing. He's still in his rookie contract. I understand people say he's injured all the time. Doesn't really matter to me because, at the end of the day, he's not getting paid that money. So the people that you want to show you certain things is the people that's getting paid that money. And now it's Tua. Again, he was not 100%. He's saying he's fully healthy now. He has a grasp on the actual playbook. And we got Brian Flores, a coach that of course he looks like me, so I'm going to root him for that as well, especially in South Florida because we don't normally see that. But to see him, to see the general manager, same thing that looks like me, to see Kendrick Nunn just made the 47-39 in the Heat game. Let's go Heat.
5:15 to go in the second quarter.
It's always a good feeling, and as long as you keep us with good feelings in Miami, then you know that we got your back, So again, Tua, we got your back. I see you look like you've been on a little bit of roids recently. Why? Because you done got a little bigger in the last few months. Everyone's saying that you're a gym rat, and that's what you want in regards to your quarterback. So again, for me, some people gonna say Tua's not a rookie no more. This is his second year. For me, he's a rookie still because he was not 100%. And I feel like this season, everybody that was talking shit about him, they're gonna learn this is the reason why I have that record with most accurate quarterback in NCAA history.
Yeah, most efficient, definitely.
Most efficient.
So
yes.
I want to bring this podcast to the ATL, shouting.
The A.
And first off, I did want to mention this, but before we transitioned off of the Knicks and the Hawks, but Trae Young, man, like, what's going on with this dude's hair, though, bro? Like, it's almost like you see, like, him losing his hair in the future type stuff. It's like he already looks like a young Chico DeBarge, you know. You know, he looks like a young Chico DeBarge out there playing basketball, and then like he like has this weird like comb over thing that's like going Trump. On. Right. Yeah, like Trump, man, with the comb over his hair, bro. Like, I don't know if he needs to realize that he needs to do a new hairstyle or something like that. I mean, our producer Chris pointed out earlier that Kenny Smith all of a sudden has a bald tape.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kenny Smith, like, yo, what's going on? You trying to bring the tape back? Like, we thought you was bald, you know what I'm saying? When you commit to something, you just commit to it, you know?
With the big
but anyways, I'm not hating on him, but also in ATL, we had some news come out with the Atlanta Falcons. And I think you know, Julio Jones wants his way out of Atlanta.
Yep.
And you know how that happened, though, which is crazy because Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless, they have, you know, one of the live shows during the day called, what's it
Undisputed.
called? Undisputed. And Shannon Sharpe called Julio Jones, who's one of the best wide receivers in history, I would say.
With the jam. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Julio Jones, one of the best receivers in history, wants out of Atlanta. And I totally understand why. But Shannon Sharpe called him live on the show Undisputed and didn't.
He wrote with the three. Boom. I'm sorry.
And didn't let him know. Shannon Sharpe didn't let Julio Jones know that he was recording or he was on air. Asked him straight up, are you staying in Atlanta? He was like, nah, I'm out of there. And he also said that he's not going to the Dallas Cowboys. I think it was kind of an awkward situation on live television that happened because you don't get these rare moments on live television. And, you know, first of all, I don't like what he did, but could there be some ramifications for what he did?
Of course, it could be ramifications because I think in California got a law where you can't record me if I don't know that you recorded me.
That way they recorded?
Yeah, you know, you're on live television. Of course,
no, I'm saying it's in California.
It's in Cali.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that's one thing. Also, you know, I think there's a $2,000 fine, which I do think Shannon Sharpe can go ahead and pay that. It ain't nothing. He getting paid all that bread from Undisputed. But the problem is, you know, like what I'm saying, you know, like it can have problems on players, you know, trusting Shannon Sharpe like that, you know. One, because, you know, a lot of the players, they call him Unc. You see what I'm calling him, Unc, you know. They look at him like the OG. You know what I'm saying?
How is that a foul, though?
Like, I don't know how that's a foul. Of course, they've been cheating. Of course, they, you know.
That did not look like a foul.
Find ways to cheat
on Kendrick Nunn.
Damn Heat, you know.
In the corner.
Going back to, you know, Shannon Sharpe, I do think it's going to be ramifications. I don't think it's going to be that serious. You know, everybody do know the obvious that he's not going to be, thank you, Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Buckets gets us a bucket.
Everybody knows the obvious that Julio Jones is leaving Atlanta. You know, it would be a great tandem, you know, to have that tight end that they just drafted and Julio. But, you know, I don't know. You know what it is? It's the league, it's business. I think Julio Jones is number 1 or number 2 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. So there's only a slim amount of teams that can go ahead and pay that price. New England is one of them. You know, of course, please don't go to the evil empire.
Please don't go to the evil empire. Julio.
Yes, please. But other than that, you know, I don't care where he goes as long as he don't go to the AFC. You know, because I don't want to see him. You know, you finally got Tom Brady out of here. You know, hopefully, you know, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills is a fluke, you know, because of the bubble. because of not being able to. Ooh,
Oh,
Bam at a
there you
bio
go,
with
Bam.
the jam. That's how I'm
Bam
doing.
with
Give
the
it to me.
jam.
You feel me? So again, you looking like yourself right now, big boy. You got a big boy plate right now. I'm giving you the breast. You feel me? You not getting a wing. You getting the breast. You feel me? But again,
Get that out of here.
Come on.
offensive foul.
Offensive
pussy boy.
foul.
Let's go,
We'll,
know what I'm
let's
saying?
go. We'll take that.
Come on, man. We finally look like we got some home cooking in Dade County. You feel
Brooke
me?
Lopez.
But again, going back to Julio Jones and his situation in
Lopez.
Atlanta, I really do feel that he's gonna leave. So I really do think he probably knew. He wanted everybody to know that he ain't coming back to Atlanta. Also, get some leverage on his side, you know, because Atlanta have all that advantage, and a lot of people is not going to try to give you a first-round pick for Julio Jones, even though we know that he's a first-round pick automatically, you know. So for him to do that, hey, it is what it is. Come on, man. But again, so what would be our next actual topic transition? You know,
Y'all want to talk a little bit about
the fans
what's
just
going on?
Just cheered for Tyler Hero doing that foul. If you
follow
noticed
this
that,
bitch ass.
you know, like no easy buckets.
Ain't
You know, what I'm
easy
saying?
over here,
You're not-
pussy boy.
You
You know
know,
what I mean? That's
What,
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 I'm
what,
talking
what
about.
do y'all think about this game so far?
Right now, I'm
We
enjoying.
only got a minute left until halftime.
I mean, we're up by 10 at the moment, so I think if we could keep this going, we'll be good.
I'm enjoying it. You know, I don't mind. Me personally, I want the Clippers to actually lose so Kawhi could bring his ass over here to Dade County. You know, I want to make it to the finals and hopefully win the finals, you know, but that's just the heat in me that's thinking positive. You know, any team that's been down 3-0 is like 75% chance that the other team is going to actually win. So, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and take everything with a grain of salt. You know, we're playing aggressive still. You know, the shots is actually dropping right now. Giannis, what you thinking this is?
Ariza taking too many threes, though.
Oh, man. But Butler's too small for me.
Yeah,
Can't
Butler's
be
too
out.
small.
Yeah,
for
that was a
him.
mismatch. They
it's
should
all
have
good.
doubled him.
Bam
I
should
don't
have
know
been
why
on
they
it.
didn't double him.
Because they didn't want to. Ooh, yeah,
Foul.
get that foul. Get that
Oh,
foul.
I thought he was gonna make
Get
it for
that
a
foul,
second.
Giannis. Get that foul. You feel me? Do what Trae
So
Young do.
54 seconds left. Heat are up 62-55 on Milwaukee. Game 4.
Jimmy B
trying to
going
avoid
up
the sweep
Jimmy
here.
To the free throw
buckets.
line. Let's talk about. I know, Marcus, you wanted to talk a little bit about Naomi Osaka.
Yeah, so Naomi Osaka, one of the best tennis players in the game right now, is Haitian Japanese player. She actually lives down here in South Florida.
Because the beaches.
You know,
The weather.
and this week she said that she is not going to press conferences. The French Open is coming up, and it's one of the major tennis tournaments. It's one of the Grand Slams, and she said that she's not going to press conferences
Why?
because of her apparent mental health issues.
Oh, my
You know,
God.
yeah, she's basically saying that press conferences or journalists like myself basically mess with their psyche on the court, so she's not going to subject herself to that. And I think that is disappointing to hear, just for me, because you're an athlete, you're a superstar athlete. People know you across the globe, and you're going to get criticism. You are going to get criticism. That kind of comes with the territory.
She
If
got
you
an
did
Instagram?
not want to be this successful, then you should have stopped balling in the manner that you are doing as a tennis player, because there will be criticism. There will be questions. People want to get your perspective on what happened. Me myself, as a journalist, kind of is taken back at it because, one, it's our job, and we have to have a story. We have to basically publicize something that people will want to read. So for you to say, hey, I'm just going to remove myself from this situation just because of my feelings, are getting hurt, feels like something that really epitomizes this generation, which I think is soft. You know, like, come on, like, I can't even ask you as a reporter, as a sports reporter, journalist, I can't ask you a question. Halftime here at the Heat and Bucks game, 64-57 in Game 4. But I can't criticize you as a journalist. I can't really ask a question that may strike a certain nerve. I think, Osaka, you need to get some tougher skin, to be honest. Now, mental health, yes, it's an issue for people. And I'm not trying to discount people who have mental health issues, the people who really do have them. But I think it's been a little bit overblown as far as where you can't answer questions. This is part of your job. If it wasn't for people like us, then people wouldn't know about you. People wouldn't know about your story. People wouldn't know about your success and be inspired by it. So you are actually creating a detriment to young Haitian girls that think that they can go out there and be a tennis player and really affect the progression of the black woman in this world.
So basically, what I'm getting from this is, it's not that she mind the interviews. She just don't like the controversial questions or questions that doesn't praise
But that's
her.
so subjective, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you, like, you're an athlete. I'm like, if it has something to do with mental health, you probably wouldn't even be able to play in that stadium filled with how many people be
Thousands of people.
Thousands of people be in the actual stadium when you're actually having the actual round with whoever you're having with Serena. I know that was packed. I think she went against Serena. She beat Serena.
She beat Serena in the U.S. Open. That's what made a name for herself.
Exactly. So again, like, you wasn't scared because of your mental health, like, just in the match. Forget the interview.
Exactly.
Just being in the match mentally should have just broke you down.
Right.
So for you to use that now, I'm just like, yo, I'm looking at it while you're saying that. I'm like, imagine LeBron would say some shit like that. Like, again,
right,
a lot of
exactly.
LeBron haters. Again, we hate LeBron for another reason, But again, like, I could imagine LeBron saying that, and the backlash that he's getting, would get behind that, But I don't know if it's because she's a young woman that's saying that. Women get treated differently from men. That's one.
Yep.
I don't know if she's saying that because she's mentally fragile, and not saying mentally have a problem, but mentally fragile. But I don't think that, because you played against Serena in the biggest moment.
Yeah.
Like, she's the MJ of tennis.
Right.
And you was able to elevate and actually succeed and win. So mentally, if you was fit for that,
Yeah.
I think a actual interview is nothing.
Yeah. I
So,
totally agree.
I
totally agree. 100%, man. I just think, come on, man. Like, you got to have that mental fortitude to really push through something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, other people are going to cry, but you are better than them mentally. Just like Wes said, you're on the biggest stage against the biggest player ever in the sport. Come on, Osaka. You got to do way better than that, because this is not going to stop, and this is going to continue. You're relatively young. You are going to continue to really be in the spotlight for your whole career. You got at least another 12 years of this, and you can't handle this now? Come on, man. Like, it just really
rubs me the
it's
wrong
disappointing,
way.
and I hope that you kind of turn the page and really be more mature
I
about
hope they
the
talk to your
situation.
ass about that. Whoever's in your circle need to holler at you about that, because I think that was like one of the worst things that you can actually say. Because me, if I'm a opponent of you, I'm going to use that to my advantage. Whatever mental problem that you're saying that you're having, I'm going to go ahead and be one of those that's talking shit while I'm playing you.
Right.
Get in your head.
That's actually the other
Anything.
point. And sorry to interrupt, but that's actually the other point I wanted to make. Is like, in tennis, they're not really booing you. You know what I'm saying? They're not like really trying to get you off your game. It's more because once you start the match, you actually can't cheer. It's actually not allowed.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's like they say quiet please before the judge says quiet please to the crowd before they even start. So they're not even hearing that like back and forth like a football game where you're hearing somebody, trying to tear you down, or a basketball game or hockey or anything like that. So it's just really disappointing to hear her not having that mental strength.
So speaking about like sensitivity, or like, I know you had like a WNBA story, like somebody got like offended in the WNBA.
Yeah, damn, I don't have the name of the player, but she basically was in a game and a coach.
What game? What type of game?
It was a regular season basketball WNBA game.
Okay.
And the coach of the opposing side was talking to the ref and said, "Hey, give us a break. She's 300 pounds. Like she is around 250 as far as her size is concerned."
Liz Cambage.
Liz Cambage?
Yeah, that's her name.
Yeah, so Liz Cambage was outraged from this comment, and it's another thing that piggybacks on what I said earlier, where this generation is soft. And come on, like, you're a woman trying to be, the Me Too movement? Like, you're trying to be on the same level, but you can't take the same criticism or scrutiny. And this coach got fined $10,000 for it. I want to say that the coach got fined $10,000 because she came out on social media and said it.
And he had to apologize
because of that. And I think he had to apologize, and I think he got suspended for one game too. Like,
I would have apologized.
Like, just because of that. I mean, I love women. I was raised by women all through my life, and yeah, I totally agree that women can be just as powerful, mentally as men. But like, come on, like, this is the reason why people on the opposing side say things about women. They say, okay, you're too emotional, because this was an emotional reaction.
Imagine.
Like somebody, and then literally the thing that most women, like if you said something about your Dime's weight, she'll probably be sensitive about it, and same for me. So it's almost like the typical thing that you could say to a woman that would be offended by it, and you're going to come out and say something about it. I mean, come on, man. Like, it's just ridiculous. If you are a professional athlete, especially a sport like basketball, where they are going to criticize you, the opposing crowd is going to criticize you, but yet you can't take a coach, not even saying something directly to you, you're going to take offense to that? It's crazy to me.
This is the whole reason why I do not need, women playing men's sports with men. This is kind of one of our arguments that we had before. I'm just thinking, like, imagine if it was another woman that said that. What's she gonna say? Is the offense gonna be so offensive?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but again, of course, I feel like women can do a lot of things that men can do, but again, one of those things that need to pick up is have a little tougher skin, especially when you're in certain sports, because you're gonna have all type of people talking shit. You can have myself that don't even watch WNBA, like, because of whichever reason. Same thing like Marcus or anyone else with whichever other sport.
You know the reason, because it's not as entertaining as other sports.
It's boring, Me personally, like, I ain't gonna lie to you. The way that you get men to watch women's sports, it's not good to say this, but it has to be a lot more sexual. And if they're dressing a certain way while they play that sport, I guarantee you the numbers will go up. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that football women
lingerie
football.
Lingerie football.
Exactly. the views was up.
Yeah.
And they knew how to play.
And they know how to play too. So it's not just that. But again, but then you have people, you want to sexualize women.
They need to
and
bring
this,
back
that, and
lingerie
other,
football.
and, huh?
They need to bring back lingerie football.
It was good.
I don't know
the product
why.
was good.
Before the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Nah, that's definitely not coming back, because-
Actually, but then you sent me something like on some basketball.
It was like lingerie basketball.
That's
Remember?
what- yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was live.
Some lingerie basketball.
That's what I'm saying,
Man,
but
if I would have
again,
known about it, I would have definitely told y'all.
What I don't understand is, how they have, Candace Parker, I understand she knows basketball. She bees on there with Shaq, Dwayne Wade, even actually having Shaq look crazy. But I don't see a Shaq, a Charles Barkley, a Dwayne Wade going on WNBA to do that same thing that Candace Parker is doing on TNT with them on the men platform. I do not see those men going over there for whatever reason to actually, they will go ahead and build up another brand that they got going on, that they got cooking up. I do not see them, even though I know they want to incorporate it like that. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I mean, clearly the women's game is different than the men's game, and it should never be intermingled as far as the genders are concerned. I mean, I watch women's soccer.
They're gonna say we sexist.
Yeah, I don't think I'm sexist at all because I
neither.
do watch women's soccer. There's just certain sports that are more aesthetically pleasing than basketball.
Like tennis. I like women tennis more than men tennis.
Yeah, I could say that. I could see that.
Same thing like with volleyball. Women volleyball rather than men volleyball.
Women gymnastics. Women,
Same thing.
Women track.
Simone Biles, she did like some crazy shit. I think like not too long ago, like a few days ago.
So again, it's not the women. It's the type of sport that they're trying to play. Because I don't want to, to be honest with you, UFC women fights be serious.
Be lit.
But, I just don't want to see another woman getting pounded like that.
For me, I don't care. Yeah, for me, I don't care. I mean,
they're getting paid for
I can watch that.
I just like watching.
fun.
I just
Yeah,
like
they
watching
can fight.
knockouts, and it
Yeah,
doesn't
they can
matter
fight.
to me.
They can fight. If they can fight, you can fight. You can fight.
If you fight, you fight. If you get choked out, you get choked out.
But that's the
you
real
know,
fights,
it's
though.
all it is.
Because, we used to seeing women, pulling hair and stuff. So when they really punching and knocking people out and choking them out, it's a real good fight. So, yeah, I definitely agree on that stance. But,
what else we got, Chris?
Now,
I mean, I think let's jump into the Benjamin report because you've been out for the past 2-3 weeks and doing your thing. So I think the audience kind of want to know what you've been seeing out there.
Yeah, no, who's hot? Who's up and coming?
I mean, I've been out there for the past couple of weeks.
Hot as hell.
Yeah, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. Oh my gosh! Yesterday, I thought it was gonna be over for me for real because it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, oh man. But, I mean, I've been around town, around this city, around this football hotbed, and, getting a close look at the best players in South Florida because a lot of them will be going into the league in the future. And one in particular was Earl Little Jr. Earl Little Jr. is a legacy kid from Miami. Earl Little Sr. Played for Miami, also played in the NFL. His son plays American Heritage, and Earl Little Sr. coaches his son right now at that school, who I think is one of the best teams, if not the best team, in Florida.
Okay.
Now, the other team that's in contention with them is IMG Academy, and I kind of talked to you about them before, how they're basically like a junior college as far as talent is concerned. They will play them first game of the year. That was announced this week. So that's going to be one of the biggest high school football games in the country coming up in August. It's the kickoff game. But the player, Earl Little Jr., is actually number one on Nick Saban's board.
What position he plays?
Cornerback.
Oh, damn.
He's the number one cornerback on Nick Saban's board.
So he's
so
the
you
Pastor
already
Shane
know,
Junior.
So you already know how good he is. But unfortunately, like I said, he's a legacy kid from Miami, is not being recruited by Miami.
Why is that?
They jumped in late in the game. You know, with these kids, you got to jump in early. You got to jump in on their sophomore year if you really want to have a chance at these kids, because he is going to be on his way to USC. He's going to be visiting with Oregon. He's going to be going to Alabama.
There's no shot.
Even Florida State as well. He's going to be visiting.
Not Miami,
but
either?
not Miami
At all. No visits. No.
As
nothing?
far as I know, from what I know, my sources are telling me he's not going to Miami at all. You know, so which is crazy that he's the number one cornerback on Nick Saban's board, and we don't even have a shot at a legacy kid, a player that a player's father who's played at the U and went to the NFL. It's just ridiculous.
This is why they ain't trying to do no more 30 for 30s, man.
Yeah,
so Miami.
So, and his father loves the U, still represents the U. I actually posted a picture on Twitter with him and all of the UM players, including Jake Garcia, the quarterback.
So you're saying it's a shot?
No, there's no shot. There's no shot, unfortunately. I'm not going to paint the pipe dream for Hurricanes fans that might be watching this. There's no shot in us getting Earl Little Jr., unfortunately. Now, you may have a chance at Jacoby Spells. Jacoby Spells is also a good cornerback on the same team. You have a legitimate shot of getting him, I think. But in the intra-squad scrimmage that I went to, he got burned by Brandon Ennis, who I think is the best football player in South Florida right now. And he's going into his junior year.
What position does he play?
Brandon Ennis is a wide receiver.
Okay.
Yeah, I posted him. I think we posted him on a previous Benjamin Report with the podcast, and he's the one who said he was a grown man. So he burned this kid Jacoby Spells on one play. Now, I'm not saying Jacoby Spells is not a great player. He is one of the best cornerbacks in South Florida, but we do have a chance to get him. Another great player who we won't get, who I saw this weekend, who is by far, to me, the best player that I've seen in the past couple of weeks, is Nigelique Kelly out of Dillard High School, defensive end. He is a beast. He's 6'4", 250 already, and just comes off that edge really quickly and is really just manhandling the offensive line. To me, I think he's rated as a 4-star by most recruiting websites, but I think he has a potential to be a 5-star guy.
Anybody you can compare him to?
I hate to say this. I really hate to say this, but it's really just a comparison to really get you an idea of how good he can be. He can be as good as a Jason Taylor. Like, as far as his size is concerned,
that's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he could be as good as Jason Taylor. I would say that is his ceiling, which is a pretty damn high ceiling. I think he can be that type of player if he continues to develop. Because right now, what he's doing, I saw him play against Monarch High School. Was that this week? Yeah, that was this week, Wednesday. It's been a crazy week. He was just manhandling kids, and he was previously committed to Florida State. But he decommitted, and likely he's going to be at one of the big name schools like a Clemson or Alabama.
Okay.
Ohio State. I could see him going to that type of program now, and Miami is not in contention for that type of player. Also not in contention for Marvin Jones Jr., who I think is – now, he's a legacy kid from Florida State. His dad played at Florida State. His dad from the crib, but played at Florida State. So that's another kid, one of the best defensive ends. Again, a player similar to Nigelique Kelly that I just described. The Hurricanes will not get that player. So
none but bad news over here.
So yeah, so as far as the Hurricanes players that I could see them getting is a kid that I talked about before, which has your name, is Wesley Bassett. And I think he's definitely a player that's going to be a big name player. He is on that level of a Nigelique Kelly and a Marvin Jones Jr., and I think they have the best shot to get a player like him. Now, they need to ramp it up. I do want to say they need to ramp it up in the next month. So expect to see more players committing to this 2022 class because the COVID restrictions are going to be lifted next week.
Okay.
So you can bring a kid on campus, and it's not going to be any issues. So expect in the next month to really see players start to commit to the University of Miami and other schools as well. So as far as other schools, other players, I think they do have a chance to get Santana Fleming, who is another receiver on that same American Heritage squad. He didn't play in the scrimmage that I saw him, but he had a thumb injury. He told me he had a thumb fracture, so they held him out of a spring game. So he is a player that I think can be a player that commits to the U. He was at Carroll City, transferred to American Heritage. He's playing alongside Brandon Ennis, so he's going to get the looks.
Okay.
So we'll see how great his season will be on that really impressive team. But I think the Hurricanes have a real chance to get Santana Fleming. And it's crazy. His name is Santana from Carroll City, just like Santana Moss from Carroll City. So, yeah. So we'll see if we can get him. But as far as everybody else, I feel they have to go outside of the state to really get the big name players and really put this class on the level of last year's class.
I don't mind.
But yeah, that's all I got for the Benjamin Report. Really, I know it's sad news for Hurricanes fans, but hopefully things will change in the next couple of months.
Yeah, man. And looking at this game, it looks like Milwaukee is starting to, creep up on us. 62-68, third quarter, 8 minutes in. Well, 8 minutes left. But, yeah, I mean, that's all we got so far for the MarcWes Sports Podcast.
All right, so that's a wrap for the MarcWes Sports Podcast. See you on the next episode.
Peace.